Listen, it's finally happening, and this time it's the real deal. The word from Westminster is sending shockwaves through the palace, and guess who's behind it? That's right, the British Parliament. The actual lawmakers are reportedly preparing to do what the monarchy never dared, strip Harry and Meghan of their royal titles. For years, they've been making Netflix deals, giving tell-all interviews, and grabbing headlines, and now Britain's patience has finally run out. What started as whispers has turned into official action. And if this goes through, Harry and Meghan could lose every last royal thread they have. So stay tuned, because this isn't just about titles, it's about a royal reset. Let's start exactly where this whole storm began. Inside the halls of London's Parliament, behind those historic walls, something significant was quietly put into motion. Insiders around Westminster say that lawmakers, fed up with the never-ending Sussex drama, began crafting a kind of royal reset. They're talking about a move that could strip away controversial titles from Prince Andrew to the York sisters, and yes, even Harry and Meghan. It's a kind of bold step Britain hasn't seen since a king once abdicated for love, only this time it's not about romance, it's about respect. For years, the monarchy tried to keep a stiff upper lip while Harry and Meghan turned royal status into profit abroad, but now Parliament's patience has run out. Their message is clear: mock the institution and you won't profit from it. And here's where it gets even more intriguing. Palace insiders whisper that this entire move has Prince William's fingerprints all over it. For months, William watched his brother's every headline, every tell-all interview, and finally, he's had enough. Those who know him say he's calm on the surface, but underneath, he's had it. William believes the monarchy can't move forward while the Sussexes are still in the spotlight. Those close to William describe him as calm in public but quietly boiling inside. He's convinced the monarchy can't move forward while the Sussex shadow still lingers, and he's not the only one who feels that way. Senior palace aides have reportedly closed ranks behind him, insisting that to protect the crown's future, the family must finally cut out the decay at its roots. William isn't acting out of emotion, he's planning. Insiders say he's grown tired of his father's gentle approach. For months, he's been urging King Charles to take stronger action. But when Charles hesitated, William started making his own moves, forming quiet connections and winning Parliament's ear. Because when William loses patience, he doesn't shout, he strategizes. And this time, his next move could end the Sussex saga for good. So how does Parliament challenge the palace? With precision and paperwork. This isn't gossip, it's governance. Sources claim lawyers are preparing what's being called a one-bill solution, a royal reform act powerful enough to erase titles and restructure royal ranks in one bold sweep. Around Westminster, it's been nicknamed a constitutional cleanup. The idea is to close every lingering scandal once and for all: Prince Andrew's disgrace, the York sisters' uncertain standing, and the Sussexes' continued monetization of royal privilege, all of it resolved in a single stroke of history. And here's where it gets even more remarkable. This wouldn't be the first time something like this happened. Back in 1917, King George V issued the letters patent defining who could be called prince or princess. That rule still stands today, but Parliament, it seems, is preparing to rewrite it for the modern era. In this new version, titles would have to be earned through service, not sold through media contracts. Think about that. The very document that once granted Archie and Lilibet their royal titles could soon be rewritten to take them away. Now let's address the royal elephant in the room, King Charles himself. While Parliament sharpens its pens and William sharpens his resolve, Charles hesitates. Insiders say he's torn between heart and duty, a father who still loves his son, yet a monarch facing a national embarrassment. Aides are said to be pleading with him to act before Parliament forces his hand. But the king worries about the fallout, especially from across the Atlantic. One insider claims he dreads headlines screaming, "King punishes the Black Duchess." Meanwhile, William's patience has completely run out. He's done watching the crown bend to fear. To him, hesitation means weakness, and weakness is how empires fall. When Charles wavers, William acts quietly, methodically. Palace whispers say he's been meeting discreetly with sympathetic MPs, the ones who still believe the monarchy must stand for something bigger than PR. And just like that, the prince turned into the power behind the throne, stepping up to do what his father wouldn't, to protect what his father couldn't. Inside the palace, there are no heated words or shouting matches, just a heavy, deliberate silence that says more than arguments ever could. Because in the royal world, silence is the statement. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, Meghan Markle is said to be spiraling. Her entire empire, podcasts, streaming deals, designer partnerships, revolves around a single word, Duchess, and that word might soon disappear. Sources close to Westminster claim Meghan's use of her royal status in business has become the perfect example of everything wrong with the monarchy's modern image. What was once a noble title has turned into a marketing logo. Some reports even say she legally used Duchess of Sussex as her surname on documents, turning the title into a brand. That bold move didn't go unnoticed. It raised eyebrows from Parliament to Buckingham Palace. As one insider reportedly joked, she turned royalty into retail. But behind palace doors, no one's amused. William's legal team has allegedly been coordinating with government lawyers to ensure that if this reform bill passes, Meghan will lose the right to profit off the Duchess name entirely. And the reaction in Montecito: full-blown crisis mode. Sources say Meghan's already holding emergency PR meetings, reshaping her next business moves, and quietly removing any royal references from her projects. This isn't just about money anymore, it's about identity. For years, her image has been built around being the Duchess who left the crown. But what happens when that same crown decides to leave her behind? Then there's Harry, the prince who traded duty for fame, now realizing that without his title, he's just another celebrity trying to stay relevant. Insiders claim he's been calling Buckingham repeatedly, desperate to reach his father. Some say his voice sounds pleading, others say broken. He's told friends that losing the title would ruin everything: the book sales, the speaking deals, the influence. But William isn't bending. People close to him describe his attitude as ice cold. He made his choice, William allegedly told a senior aide. Now he has to live with it. That one line says everything. To William, Harry's not a brother anymore, he's a liability. And to the establishment, Harry represents exactly what happens when royalty turns into business. Meanwhile, King Charles is torn in two, a monarch weighed down by love and duty, a king who can't be a father, and a father who can't be a king. Yet beyond the palace gates, sympathy is running dry. In Parliament, Harry's now Exhibit A in their case for reform, a prince who cashed in on privilege and left the crown looking like a costume. And that's where the heart of this entire royal storm lies, not in money, not in status, but in identity. Harry and Meghan built their empire around being royals who walked away from royalty. But now, the very institution they turned their backs on seems to be turning its back on them. And just when it feels like the drama can't get any more personal, it does. This time, it's not just about Harry and Meghan, it's about their children. Archie and Lilibet, the little royals who've known more California sunshine than British rain, have suddenly become the center of a constitutional battle. Meghan insists her children's royal birthright is sacred, that they deserve their titles, but Parliament doesn't see it that way. Lawmakers are said to be invoking King George V's 1917 letters patent, the same royal law that defined who may be called prince or princess, to argue that royal status belongs only to those who live and serve in the United Kingdom. As one insider put it bluntly, no crown for California kids. And just like that, the internet exploded. If this reform passes, Archie and Lilibet could become the first modern royal children stripped of their titles. For Meghan, this isn't just a legal issue, it's deeply personal. Her brand, her motherhood, her entire public image revolve around being a mother to a prince and princess. Without that, she's simply Meghan, a mom of two living in Montecito. Behind the scenes, aides say this decision sent her into another spiral of panic. She reportedly called the move an attack on her children, but Parliament isn't budging. Their stance is cold, simple, and final. It's not punishment, it's policy. Then comes the night no one saw coming. London, quiet, cold, still. At midnight, the royal website updates. 2 names disappear. No press release, no statement, no ceremony, just gone. The titles Duke and Duchess of Sussex are erased. Parliament's motion passes quietly, and Buckingham Palace remains silent. For Harry and Meghan, it marks the end of their royal chapter. Their titles gone, their brand weakened, their fairy tale dissolving into headlines. For King Charles, it's a bittersweet relief. His reign finally free to move forward, but at a price only a father could truly feel. And for Prince William, it's quiet victory. Not boastful, not loud, but powerful. He did what many believed was impossible. He protected the crown from itself. And as dawn breaks over Westminster, one question lingers in the pale morning light. If Parliament and the future king can rewrite the monarchy once, what might they rewrite next? But that wasn't the end, far from it. Behind the scenes, while the headlines were still about the Sussex showdown, a quieter game was underway. Inside the corridors of power, whispers say a sweeping reform of the monarchy is being drafted. Not just a one-off title purge, but a full reboot of royal privilege. Parliamentary aides speak of a looming Royal Reform Act designed to redefine how titles, funding, and royal roles operate in the 21st century. It's not just about cutting off Harry and Meghan, it's about shrinking the perimeter of the crown itself. According to insiders, the bill would require royals who profit commercially from their status to lose protections others take for granted. It would also link titles and privileges to active service rather than birthright alone. Quietly, this is being pitched as modern monarchy for a modern age. But there are ripple effects. Non-working royals worry about losing residences, staffing, or public funding. Younger members of the family are watching this unfold with concern. In Westminster, MPs from both sides are reportedly cooperating. Public opinion polls now show over half of Brits believe titles should be subject to parliamentary legislation. Meanwhile, royal correspondents note that the monarchy has never faced a constitutional review this deep during a king's lifetime. For the crown watchers, the question has shifted. Are we watching the beginning of a leaner, harder-edged monarchy or the first step of dismantling the entire system? Across the ocean, the shockwaves didn't stop at Buckingham's gates. They hit Hollywood next. What began as a constitutional crisis in Britain quickly turned into a full-blown global spectacle. In America, talk shows dissected every rumor. PR experts debated if Meghan's empire could survive without the royal glow that built it. The once glittering Sussex brand, valued in the millions, suddenly looked unstable. Netflix executives reportedly called emergency meetings, unsure if future projects could justify their royal-sized budgets now that the titles might legally vanish. Sponsors who once fought to be tied to the modern royal couple quietly began backing away. Some contracts, those that used the words Duke or Duchess, were allegedly paused for review. It wasn't personal, it was business. Without the royal mystique, the Sussex story was losing its shine. Even in Hollywood, royalty sells, and once it's gone, it's just another celebrity partnership. Across the Atlantic, U.S. headlines turned colder. One sympathetic network started framing Harry and Meghan as a case study in brand overreach. The couple's attempt to redefine royalty as independence was now being redefined by others as exploitation. A Los Angeles PR consultant told Page 6 they built their brand on rebellion, but rebellion only works if the kingdom still exists. And in the Commonwealth, the reaction was even sharper. Countries like Canada and Australia saw this as a symbolic moment, proof that the British monarchy was finally rethinking its own relevance. Politicians who had long hinted at cutting ties with the crown used the Sussex scandal as fuel. One commentator called it the global domino effect, warning that if Britain rewrites the rules for its royals, others might soon question whether they need a monarch at all. Meanwhile, back in California, Meghan was reportedly furious at how quickly her public narrative slipped out of her control. She had once been the world's most talked about duchess, now journalists were calling her the fallen royal of Montecito. Her team scrambled to launch image rebuilding campaigns, focusing on motherhood, activism, and fashion, but the headlines wouldn't let up. Every move was compared to the loss of her title. Every silence was interpreted as a crisis. And then there was Harry, caught between two worlds, neither of which seemed to want him. The palace wouldn't take his calls, and the public that once pitied him now questioned his motives. He was no longer the runaway prince, but the man who sold his crown. Friends close to him say he's struggling to rebuild purpose outside the royal lens. By now, the story had outgrown the tabloids. It wasn't just about Harry and Meghan anymore. It had become a mirror reflecting the clash between old power and modern image. The monarchy had survived wars, divorces, and scandals. But could it survive the era of global branding? Because in this new age of fame, the crown doesn't just sit on a head, it sits on a hashtag. And somewhere in Kensington Palace, one man was already planning what came next. William wasn't scrolling headlines, he was studying them. Every scandal, every backlash, every poll about the monarchy's fading relevance was being read, analyzed, and turned into strategy. Those close to him say this moment, when Parliament moved and his father hesitated, was the tipping point. William had decided that if the monarchy was to survive, it had to evolve, and fast. He's long believed the royal family had grown too large, too outdated, too fragile to stand in an era ruled by social media. What he envisions isn't a royal revolution, it's a royal recalibration. A monarchy stripped down to its essentials: duty, service, and national identity. The days of endless royal titles and taxpayer-funded luxuries, they're ending under his watch. Palace aides quietly call it the William model, a plan to rebuild public trust through visibility and accountability. Insiders describe a man both pragmatic and driven by legacy. To his friends, he admits the world his children will inherit won't tolerate royal privilege without purpose. He's determined to ensure George, Charlotte, and Louis grow up understanding that royal life must be earned, not assumed. One confidant said, "William doesn't want his children to inherit crowns, they should inherit responsibility." Behind closed doors, he's already forming his version of a modern court, a tighter circle of advisors, younger and media-savvy, with backgrounds in diplomacy, military, and digital outreach. These are not traditional courtiers. They're strategists. Their mission to make the monarchy relevant in a century where influence is measured in seconds, not centuries. And perhaps most telling, William isn't waiting for his father's approval anymore. He's moving quietly but decisively, meeting with MPs, economists, even tech leaders to discuss how the crown could function in a Britain where transparency is power. While Charles clings to tradition, William is building a future-proof throne. For the first time in modern royal history, two visions of the monarchy are openly competing. One rooted in nostalgia, the other in necessity. And though no one will admit it publicly, the balance is shifting. Within the palace, staff whisper about the transition. The moment the crown begins to look less like a family inheritance and more like a national institution run by the next generation. Because William isn't just preparing to be king, he's preparing to redefine what being a king even means. And as William quietly reshapes the crown, the world is watching a tale of two couples unfold. A story of duty versus defiance, legacy versus loss. While Harry and Meghan retreat deeper into California seclusion, William and Kate are emerging as the faces of a redefined monarchy. It's no coincidence. Palace insiders say the couple's every public move, from charity appearances to calm, confident photo ops, is part of a deliberate campaign to restore what the Sussex drama nearly destroyed: dignity. Comparisons between the two brothers have always been inevitable, but now they've become symbolic. William and Kate embody the steadiness the crown needs, while Harry and Meghan represent the volatility it fears. Polls show the divide clearly. Britons see William and Kate as the future, while support for the Sussexes has slipped to record lows. One royal aide told The Telegraph, "It's like watching the monarchy press reset in real time." And then there's the shadow of Princess Diana, the ghost that haunts both households. For years, Harry claimed to carry her spirit, her compassion, her rebellion, her refusal to be silenced. But lately that narrative seems to have shifted. The media now calls Kate the true inheritor of Diana's grace, the poised figure who endures scrutiny without chaos. Inside the palace, whispers suggest that William's long-term strategy hinges on that image. He doesn't just want to lead the monarchy, he wants to humanize it, to turn Diana's empathy into the foundation of a new royal era. Meanwhile, Meghan reportedly sees that shift as a betrayal. Friends say she feels the palace has weaponized Diana's memory against her, turning her late mother-in-law's image into a moral yardstick she can never match. In California, the Sussexes team has tried to reclaim that narrative through documentaries and interviews, painting Meghan as the woman who broke the cycle. But royal commentators argue that the public has already chosen their modern Diana, and it's not Meghan. The irony is brutal. The same woman once hailed as the crown's greatest threat is now the symbol of its rebirth. Kate's quiet strength, her discipline, and her refusal to engage in drama have rebuilt what years of scandal nearly destroyed. Some even say she's done what no advisor, no strategist, no king could do. She's made the monarchy feel safe again. And that's what this moment represents, a reset. The monarchy, bloodied but breathing, has learned to survive not through power but through perception. The crown has adapted to the age of influence, where image is everything and silence can be the loudest weapon. William and Kate have stepped into the light as symbols of duty, while Harry and Meghan fade into the background, trapped in a brand they can't escape. The public sees the contrast, and the message couldn't be clearer. One couple chose the crown, the other chose the camera, and history, as it always does, has chosen a side. And just like that, what began as whispers of royal gossip has evolved into something far bigger, a chapter of royal history being rewritten in real time. Parliament's move didn't just target two people, it shattered an illusion that's defined the monarchy for generations, the belief that the crown could never be questioned. For centuries, royal blood meant immunity. But this time, it was the lawmakers, not the monarch, who drew the line. One act of parliament, and suddenly the palace no longer looked untouchable, it looked human. Vulnerable, divided, behind the polished smiles and ceremonial gestures, the family is said to be more fractured than ever. Those close to Buckingham whisper that King Charles, torn between love and duty, has lost the authority to hold his sons together. William's focus is the institution, leaner, stronger, built for modern optics. Harry's focus is the truth, or at least his version of it. Meghan has turned their story into a global brand, while Kate, ever composed, plays the long game. Silence as strategy. Insiders say dinners at the palace are quieter these days, colder too, with unspoken tension hanging heavier than any royal portrait on the wall. Some even say this divide was inevitable. the ripple effect of one woman's absence. Princess Diana wasn't just the heart of the family, she was its gravity. The one who could command cameras and silence a room, who could make Charles listen, who could make her sons understand their power without letting it consume them. Yet history remembers what the palace prefers to forget. Diana was never Charles's first choice, but she became the only one who could hold it all together. And when she was gone, the fragile balance between image and emotion went with her. Now, decades later, her shadow still lingers. Royal commentators argue that William embodies her discipline, while Harry inherited her defiance. And Meghan, she's often compared to Diana's fire, the compassion mixed with controversy, but without the public's forgiveness. Meanwhile, Kate has slowly, almost deliberately, taken over Diana's legacy in the public eye. The grace, the composure, the quiet strength. To many, she represents the stability Diana wished the crown had found sooner. And then there's Charles, the reluctant king. Torn between past and present, emotion and expectation, he's found himself cornered, trying to keep the crown from collapsing while the family beneath it splinters. Parliament's intervention may have saved his reign on paper, but it also exposed how weak that reign truly is. The image of a family united behind duty is fading, replaced by the reality of a dynasty running on damage control. Across the world, the question now hangs in the air. What does being royal even mean anymore? Is it service, bloodline, or survival? For Harry and Meghan, the answer is more personal. They traded royal walls for Hollywood freedom, but freedom came with isolation. For William and Kate, it's about discipline, duty, and image, the modern fairy tale that doesn't break, even when the cracks are visible. The truth, the monarchy didn't collapse, it adapted, but adaptation always comes at a cost. Every silence hides resentment, every headline hides heartbreak, and every crown, no matter how polished, hides a fracture. So as dawn rises over Westminster, one truth stands above the rest. The crown didn't just survive the storm. It became the storm. And while Parliament may have written this chapter, the next one belongs to the family still trying to control the narrative. Because in this modern monarchy, power doesn't rest on blood anymore. It rests on who controls the story. One chapter ends, another begins, and this time the world is watching every page turn.